This is video 4 of the financial journey of refugees. And in this video, we're going to talk about how the world of aid and international humanitarian assistance have come together to support people in their journeys and their settlement. So if we look at our journey map, we've covered journey preparation, we've covered coping with moving. We haven't covered returning so much, so we will in this video. We've covered settling or coping with displacement and integration. So let's get back to our research. What was the UN, NGOs, and private businesses doing to assist refugee and migrants in their journeys and efforts to assimilate? What role did technology play? And what efforts have been particularly successful? So here you can see IRC at work. They took the material that we came up with in our study and brainstormed solutions around it. Now let's look at a wider world. So before the journey, people are mainly on their own and they manage their own preparations. So there's the big four: the phone, money, documentation, and medicine. People also carried other things. As you can see here, they would take mementos, a special necklace, a family photo. Before the journey, some organizations, like IOM, the UN's Organization for Migration, focus on safe journeys. Many governments do the same. IOM in Belarus and the messaging app Viber launched a sticker pack called Cat on the Move with a very famous local artist to promote safe migration and to combat human trafficking. This guide was prepared by the Sri Lankan government to protect people as they migrated, right? And in this case, it would be people migrating to the Gulf. During the journey, again, organizations like the UN's IOM take the lead, but so do governments and NGOs. So here's a Mercy Corps worker helping give directions to Syrians moving through Greece in 2016. The Costa Rica government offers migrants a 25-day transit pass and free health care during that 25 days. And actually, you can apply again for a second 25-day pass. After the journey, there are cross-sector initiatives underway. Governments, businesses, and NGOs are investing in migrant capital. The idea is that if migrants reach developed countries, they may be in a position to send money home. So, for example, there's the 4-in-1 initiative in Mexico. And this is where every dollar donated by the diaspora is matched by $1 from the federal government, $1 from the state government, $1 from the municipal government, and Western Union. The diaspora participates by donating, and they're organized through migrant clubs and federations, both in the United States as well as in Mexico. After the journey, governments, NGOs, and places of worship and local community efforts do the heavy lifting. If refugee status in places like the US, Germany, Uganda, and many other countries, if people have that status, they get special help to resettle. In a way, they're the lucky ones. They're the asylum seekers, they're the refugees that got these services, but many asylum seekers and migrants don't get a lot of these services. So before the journey, we've discussed preparation, during, coping, and moving. Now we're going to talk about returning. Again, organizations like the UN's IOM take the lead, but so do governments and NGOs. It feels like I've been dropped from the sky back into Afghanistan. I came here with almost nothing, not even a pillow. I need land and a job, and I need medical treatment. These are the words of Kargil, a 45-year-old widow who crossed back into Afghanistan with her 2 young boys at the Spin-Boldak border from Pakistan. She had been gone for 10 years. She needed the help of the IOM to resettle, to integrate, because her family networks had been destroyed. So remember the story we told you about Gorka? This is the Nepali who made it as far as Costa Rica from Nepal. Then he was shot. Well, his smuggler wanted him to keep moving forward to Mexico, but our Nepali student was able to interact with IOM to make sure that Gorka got back home, and he did get back home. So assisted voluntary return. IOM in 2018 assisted 63,000 migrants with their return in various capacities. You can see here a whole list of things that they do for migrants wanting to return home. In the next few slides, let's zero in on an international trend in serving refugees and asylum seekers. Refugees and migrants receive handouts through UN agencies, bilateral governments, and local NGOs. That we know. You've seen plenty of that on television. And that's kind of the old way of doing business. It's an important way, but not the only way. A newer way is vouchers for food and even shelter supplies, or cash distributions. Why the switch? Well, there were financial factors that in some cases, bringing food from one part of the world to another is actually very expensive and can be subject to long delays so that the food might not arrive at all to where the beneficiaries are. From the point of view of beneficiary, switching from receiving food to receiving cash has many benefits. They can buy the foods that they want, the foods that they know how to cook, the foods that they know their family likes. And they can also buy the supplemental nutrients that don't come with big food shipments. So vegetables and fruits and things like that, that aren't part of what the World Food Program can bring because they're perishable. So having cash allows them to buy nutritious foods. And now, more recently, we're seeing a shift from cash to digital cash, right? So here's people getting cash in an envelope. And now we see that they're receiving digital cash through an ATM, through a mobile phone, through a bank linkage. Here's how it works. Here's an example from Rwanda. World Food Program and UNHCR teamed up with Equity Bank, and Equity Bank had already teamed up with MasterCard. And they issued tens of thousands of cards to refugees in Rwanda. And every month, UNHCR, World Food Program, would load up the card with digital money, and that money could be accessed at an agent. Here's an example from Uganda, where Mercy Corps joined forces with Airtel, a mobile money provider, to provide monthly digital cash distributions that beneficiaries could access at an ATM. And an example for Greece, CRS teamed up with a third-party supplier, as did many other NGOs, by the way, and to distribute cash through ATMs. Same idea, different channel. The rules vary based on context. So NGOs and the UN will mobilize the fund. They'll determine a minimum economic basket, meaning an amount that a family can live on. They'll select the beneficiaries, verify who they are, and they'll do a lot of troubleshooting. The digital actors, they'll create the actual accounts. They will perform KYC functions, know your customer, sometimes working hand in hand with the NGOs. They'll distribute the fund, and they'll also troubleshoot. So we can see by this chart that global spend on cash and vouchers increased by 40% in 2016. That's quite a spurt from when they first started in 2009. There are a few requirements and concerns. For cash, digital cash, and vouchers, a well-functioning market must be in place. You can't do this in the middle of nowhere. And there were some concerns. If you're doing vouchers, you might be favoring the bigger stores over the smaller ones because they're the ones who could handle vouchers. Donors were concerned about frivolous expenditures. Would beneficiaries buy things like alcohol and cigarettes? By and large, actually, that turned out to be an unfounded concern, that most of the cash is going towards food, nutrition, and basics. And they were also worried about the safety and theft. For digital cash and vouchers, yes, you need a well-functioning market, but you also need financial infrastructure that can handle liquidity at the agent level. And we talked about that when we discussed M-Pesa. The concerns are, yes, again, frivolous expenditures. Will people buy it on cigarettes and alcohol? Not really a problem. Would there be loss of PINs, safety, and theft of the card? Would the requirement to be digitally literate exclude people? And I can tell you our early findings said no, because people who were illiterate were helped by people who were literate. And there were some gender issues that we can discuss more in the discussion about abuse at the last mile, at the agent level. But for now, the positives of moving toward cash, away from just handouts, moving towards cash, and even towards digital cash, outweighs the negatives. It's more efficient, usually, in markets where it can work. There are happier beneficiaries. They can choose what they want to buy, when they want to buy it. And with digital, there's some side benefits, possible financial inclusion outcomes. And then in Uganda, COVID-19 is a big fear there. And cash, they believe, can help spread the germs. So by going digital, they might be able to remove some of the cash from some of the transactions. And so they're offering free transfer services for under $10. In summary, the UN, international NGOs, and businesses have all intervened to assist refugees and migrants in their circumstances of displacement. A major shift on the supply side has been replacing all food assistance with cash assistance. And technology has a role to play in helping refugees and migrants cope with their journeys or their efforts to assimilate. But we have to be careful because it can exclude. Thank you.